Everybody welcome Laker girl when she dropping. She taking on the world when the topics. This girl is a problem.
Yeah.
Hit that like button if you feeling that. Show her some respect, she gon' send it back. Everybody welcome Laker girl when she dropping. She taking on the world when the topics. This girl is a problem.
Yep.
Hit the like button if you feeling that. Show her some respect, she gon' send it back. Facts.
Representing Lakers World Order.
Laker girl 36. Good evening, everybody. This is your girl, Laker Girl, and we have a special guest tonight, Jovan from The Athletic. We have my co-host, Angry Lakers Fan Media, Big Baby Jonathan Sports. Welcome, everybody.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up?
How's it going?
If you guys are new, can you guys please hit that like button?
Even if you're not new, hit that like button. It's very disrespectful to come over here and not hit that like. You should hit that like button before you even chat. That's very disrespectful.
The like button's for free, man. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe.
Mm-hmm. So
the discussion tonight is going to be about Luca.
Interesting.
My first question is, when you heard about Luca getting traded to the Lakers, what was your first reaction?
I didn't believe it. I think my reaction, what was like most people. So we were in New York at MSG after the game in the press room, and it was the four Lakers beat writers and then one additional reporter in there. And I guess they saw it before we did, and they just yelled out like, the Lakers just got Luca. And like most people, we thought Shams got hacked, and we were like, there's no way, like, this was clearly a hack tweet. Someone, should have done a more realistic trade, because there's no way Dallas would ever do a trade like this. And then lo and behold, he quickly quote tweets it and says like, no, this is a real trade. And then all of a sudden we started scrambling and trying to confirm it and get more information. And like, it was just insanity. So like that night I was up till 7 a.m. Eastern time. I basically pulled an all-nighter. Then I got back up at like 10. So that was just like one of the craziest nights in my career covering anything. And I think it's going to be one of the craziest trades in NBA history when we look back at it 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what I was doing. I was feeling just like you was. I saw it on Twitter and I thought he got hacked. I was like, oh man, here we go. They trolling again. But yeah, I got a question. About Luca. How long do you think it's going to take him to, get his rhythm back? Like we see him slowly starting to pick up each time he play. Do you think it's going to be sooner than later, or it's going to take more time?
I think it's going to take a little bit of time. He missed 6 weeks with that calf strain. And I think anytime a player is out for that long, and then you factor in like he gets traded, he's in a new team, new system, new city, like that. There's all these moving parts with the whole situation. I think it is going to take him some time to get back fully into both game shape, but also just getting acclimated with the players. Like I think you've seen already, there's been some turnovers he's thrown. Like I think back on one last night in Utah where he throws the ball to Austin and Austin's cutting. And that was just a simple misread of the situation. But that's something that you gain with experience and reps with, just playing with each other. And so in that instance, Austin was reading the situation. He's like, I should cut here. Luca was reading the situation. He's like, I should swing the ball here. So I think just like little things like that are going to come with more practice time. Lakers have not had an official practice yet with this group. So I think once they get some practices under their belt, once they get some more games together, I think we will see a better version of Luca. But already, like, that behind the back pass he threw to Austin was just insane. Like that was one of the craziest passes I've ever seen. Like going downhill, drawing two defenders, and then just casually whipping it behind your back, one-handed, not looking. Like that was an insane pass. So I understand. Like I know some Laker fans are upset right now, or sort of a little concerned with how things have looked the first couple games. But I think give it some time. Give it 7 to 10 games, and then reevaluate where things are at.
There you go.
Most definitely. my experience with the Luca trade, I was actually doing a live post game show after the Knicks game. I was like, I don't think the Lakers are gonna make any trades. They're just gonna just ride with the team. And I saw the tweet. I'm like, Lakers got Luca? Is I'm dreaming? Is I'm dreaming right now? And I like got nah. I put the phone away, looked at it again. I'm like, okay, let's roll. And then about Luca, once he after the All-Star break, is he can still be on the minutes restriction after the All-Star break too?
It's a good question. I'm not quite sure. I would assume probably. We haven't actually really even seen him hit his minutes restriction because his minutes restriction has actually been 30 minutes. And so the first couple games he's been at like 23, 24 because in both games it ended up being blowouts. But I would suspect because they come out of the break with Charlotte and then at Portland back to back. So I would assume at least the Portland game he would be on some minutes restriction, but maybe still to start. They said they want to be conservative with him, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe they loosen it up a little bit to like 32, 34, but keep him kind of in that range. But certainly with the back to back, I would suspect at least to start that he's still on some type of restriction.
Thank you.
My next question to you: do you see with this Luca coming to the Lakers? Do you see the Lakers clearing up another roster spot and bring somebody else to play along with Luca?
You mean like a star like down the road?
Yeah, down the road.
Yeah, I think it depends what happens with LeBron. And so LeBron has a player option for next season. He can opt into that player option. He could opt out and resign. He could also extend with the Lakers. So that, and he could demand a trade, or like there's a lot of different ways that whole situation could play out. But in 2026 right now, they are slated to have max cap space separate of like Luca could also opt out, but they're hoping he'll extend before then. But they're hoping to have max cap space to add that second star in 2026. So I think tentatively that is the plan for that summer. And if you look at that free agent class, it's a lot of heavy hitters. Like Giannis could potentially be in that class. And like there's a lot of big names that, depending on how their situations go with their respective teams, could become available potentially. So I think for the Lakers, they're targeting that 2026 summer. As far as this season, I think that they're just going to continue to look at the buyout market and maybe convert one of the two-way guys later in the season for that 15th roster spot. Waive, either I would say most likely Cam, but between Cam and Shake for to add somebody else because clearly. I don't know what you guys thought about Alex Len, but it was not the best first impression. And sadly, I watched like 45 minutes of film on Alex Len before the trade of what he's looked like this season. And he did not look much better in Sacramento than he did last night. Like, I think last night was a little bit worse, and I'll give him some grace. He got, he didn't get traded, but he did get traded to Washington, got waived from Washington, then was planning to go to Indiana. Ends up pivoting at the last second, gets to Utah late the night before, and then gets thrown into playing like 22 minutes and starting the second half. And like, I don't think he was ready for like that role. But my concern is like he just has not been that good for like 3 years now. And I don't think he's the solution there for the Lakers. So I think ultimately they might have to end up adding another big man at some point this season.
Yeah, I personally think, before I get to my next question, I personally think Alex Len is just like a bridge signing. He's just here to, be a big body to the end of the season, and to take the pressure off of Jackson Hayes a little bit, That's what I think about Alex Len. But yeah, speaking of centers, Luca need his lob threat. You need his lob threat. So speaking of LeBron James and this summer, do you think that he would opt out his player option and take less money to help get that guy or help get the guys around Luca going forward?
It's a good question. There was the reports that he was going to do that last summer, depending on who the player was, and I would guess he would probably have a similar list of like the type of player that he would take a pay cut for. I don't think he's just like. I think it has to be a certain type of guy. I don't think it's just going to be like sign any non-taxpayer MLE guy and I will take a pay cut. I think it has to be a certain caliber of player. So that would be my assumption with that. I think that the thing I'm kind of trying to figure out is like, what is LeBron's plan? Is he going to play 1 more year? Is he going to play 2 more years? Like, could he stretch it out even longer? Does he want to play with Bryce? And like, how does he feel about the Lakers? And he has committed obviously to playing with the Lakers and has said he wants to end his career there. But I can't help but think like this whole Luca situation has like changed things a little bit. And the Lakers are also kind of trying to position themselves for 2026, which opens up, potentially that door to go in a different direction. So I think there's a lot of open-ended questions with how this is all going to go. And I think a big part of it is going to be like how the rest of the season goes. If the Lakers win a championship, of course, I think LeBron will do whatever it takes to kind of keep that group together or make that group better. But if you fall short of that, then I think that opens up doors and more questions for different paths.
Thank you for your answer. I needed to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, Alex Len.
Yeah.
First game as a Laker wasn't good, but I feel like his role here is just to block shots, set good screens, play physical at times. And my next question is, what kind of advice can you give me or the people that are watching about media stuff? What is your preparation before every practice, pregame and postgame when you're out there?
Yeah, well, I think you're doing great with what you're doing with your channel and going live and podcasting and reaching out to people. And like, so I think that is the example I would say to like a lot of people get, it's paralysis by analysis and you try to make something, you get concerned about the quality of something or like, are people going to watch? Are people going to tune in? But like, I think the biggest thing is just like go out and do it. And that was something that, like, for me, what was a big thing with starting my YouTube channel was, like, for a while, like, I dealt with the same thing of, like, even, I don't have the right camera gear or the right mic or the right this or, like, how am I going to just start, like, what if I put out a video and, like, no one cares and like, how am I going to feel about that and stuff like that. And it just, at some point, I was like, I'm taking the leap and whatever happens, happens. And that, and then, from the first video to now, like there's been growth and that's just, and I am constantly kind of tweaking of the lights or whatever in my office. But like, ultimately, I think it just comes down to like, do the work and continue to also self-evaluate and keep growing and tinkering with things. But the one thing I always tell people, cause I go back, I'm a USC alum and I go back and talk to classes there and talk to students. And like, I say like, this is just such a tough business because so many people want to do it. And a lot of the entry level stuff like is just not very high paying. So like you have to have a thick skin to like really want to do this and do nothing else. And I remember like when I was in school and people would come in and kind of like journalism is always one of the like bottom 5, professions that people like, they do the profession rankings and it's always like journalism, reporting, whatever is like bottom 5. But when I would hear that, I was like, I don't care. I can't imagine doing anything else. And like that person doesn't know what they're talking about, kind of giving me that advice. So I always tell people, if I tell you that and it scares you off and you have like a little bit of an inkling of like, I probably shouldn't do this, then I think that's a sign you shouldn't do this. But if you hear that and you're like, screw that guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about, then like double down and like keep going at it. But I think the biggest thing is like just to do it and like also be self-critical in a positive way, like a healthy way, but be self-critical and like continue to learn and hope that like each show you do should be better. As far as prep, it's just like it's constant for me of like constantly looking up stats or reading stuff or rewatching the games, trying to, because there's always stuff I pick up on like watching a game the second time that I didn't pick up watching it live. So listening to other podcasts or people that I admire. So like, I think there's a lot of stuff that goes into the prep work. So I would say like I'm constantly kind of just in it in prepping and trying to consume as much information as possible. But for people that want to do it, I just say like, you can start a podcast with your phone. You don't even need a mic. You don't need a special camera. You don't need a background. You don't like, just start it and create and then go from there. And like, you can edit on your phone. You can make short clips off your phone. Like you can do it all with whatever phone you have or your computer or whatever. So I think that there's really no excuse not to do it. Unless you just don't want to. And obviously if you don't want to, then that's okay. But like, if you really want to do it, you can do it. Start creating, make sure each video and podcast is getting better. And then, just keep stacking on top of that.
Most definitely. Real quick, like girl, this I gotta say this too. When I first started, I wrote down who I wanted on my channel. I had Jeannie Buss at the top of the list, Kobe, Mike Trudell, Byron Scott, James Worthy, Derek Fisher, and they're all on my podcast. When I first started
There you
in
go.
2016. So it's like, but yeah, man, appreciate the answer, man.
Of course.
My last question for you is, not to change the subject or anything, do you think Mark Williams will become a Laker since he's still in Los Angeles and he has not returned to Charlotte yet?
I don't think so. I think it would be it's pretty on. I mean, it's never happened before that a trade has been rescinded and then reversed. So this would be like the first time in NBA history that would have happened. We have seen trades be rescinded, but typically the way the league looks at it is like, we're not going to force a team to take on a player. Like part of the trade process is a player has to go through their physical and they have to pass the physical. So it's like, that's the final step of the trade process. So if a team puts a player through a physical and deems that they are not comfortable with whatever with that player, and they decide to rescind the trade, like that's within the team's rights. So I think it's a slippery slope if you start to kind of dictate what a team can or can't rescind a trade for. And, you know, then that gets into like almost the NBA kind of controlling the teams and like what so if the Lakers, I mean, they vetted Mark Williams with an internal and external doctor. They deemed that, I think longer term, there's some concerns there with how he's going to age and certain things with his body. And they were like, we just can't take this risk. We're giving up Dalton. We're giving up these picks. Like, that's just too much for this guy that we're not confident can stay healthy. So I would be pretty shocked if it got overturned again. It ends up passing, where he becomes a Laker. I think the Hornets are just doing this to kind of save some face. Like, technically, he is healthy, so they have an argument. But like with the Lakers and what they found, it's more like longer term stuff. And I think ultimately the league tends to favor teams' autonomy and just like them being able to control their own destiny. And I think if you start kind of telling them what to do and saying like, well, you can't fail this physical because of this, it's like it's a slippery slope there. So I think ultimately this is going to be kind of a giant waste of time for everybody. And Mark Williams is going to end up staying in Charlotte. They're going to have to do damage control and figure that out. And then Dalton Connect will stay a Laker at least until the summer, when, you know, we'll see what happens then.
Well, I know before I ask my last question, I want to thank you, Jovan Buha, for taking time out your busy schedule to join us on this panel. You just made me think of my last question. What do you think would be the state of the NBA right now if the Luca trade got rescinded?
I'm sure you guys saw like that. There's that Dallas reporter who put out that Dallas apparently didn't put 80 through like a full physical, and they didn't realize the extent of his abdomen injury. They were trying to rescind the trade, which I think it's a little tougher. Like once the players have played, because like Max Christie's been crushing it in Dallas. Luca's obviously played a couple games in LA. I think a lot of people would be happy because of how many people just like don't like the Lakers and were upset about the trade and felt like it was, you know, Pau Gasol 2.0. Going back to 2008, but I mean, yeah, that one, I think that I'm sure at some level the league likes it that Luca's in LA and now you have this global superstar in arguably the biggest global market or right there with New York. It's the glamour franchise of the league. Already Luca was speaking last night in Spanish saying like, he knows Kobe played for the Lakers, Powell played for the Lakers, and he envisioned himself potentially playing for the Lakers one day. So like that was an answer we didn't get in English, so like it didn't really get aggregated, but like that was kind of a telling, statement there of just how international players like view the Lakers and playing for the Lakers. So I think it's a match made in heaven from like a marketing perspective and just taking Luca to the next level as a star. So that one I could say with like 99.999 a million nine confidence, like that one's not going to be rescinded.
Thank you for answering, man. Thank you.
Of course. But, Mike, Yeah, that would be crazy if the Luca trade got rescinded. I think I would go crazy, to be honest, but that wouldn't surprise me. Mark Cuban probably would have said something. Probably would have told the league like last time. My last question is: since you travel on the road, give me your top 3 favorite foods on every city that you go to.
Yeah, so I would say you're saying like specific restaurants on the road, or just like what type of food I like to eat.
What type of food you like to eat? Like when you're on your off day, what do you like to do and stuff?
Yeah, so I like one of the perks of the job is we get per diem per meal. So we get a certain amount of money that we're allowed to spend and expense on each meal. So for dinner, I will always first thing I'll look for is like a nice steak and make sure it's within the budget. But I will try to. I am a big Door Dasher when I'm on the road, especially because a lot of times I'm getting into places late, so I don't really want to go out and eat somewhere by myself. It's just let me stay in the hotel, order something, and just eat it in my room. So I would say steak is the biggest thing. I would say. I also try to eat whatever the cuisine is of the city. So in Boston, I'll have lobster mac and cheese or a lobster sandwich, something like that. In New Orleans, obviously gumbo and all the different seafood that they have down there, or go get a beignet at Cafe du Monde. Then New York is obviously great with just all the food that New York has. So the challenge is I try to eat relatively healthy on the road because I don't get to be as active because it's a lot of being on a plane or then you're tired, late nights. So I try to find the balance there. But certainly if I'm in a certain city where they're known for their dessert or something, I will try to have that. So, but I'm a big burger and steak guy. I could have a burger and steak with basically any meal.
Yeah, burgers and steaks are always good, and also you gotta get them Krispy Kreme donuts, man.
I do. So yeah, and Miami, obviously the Cuban food, or I had a prime Italian for the first time down there this trip. So try to mix it up and go to the best places that are within the budget.
Appreciate it.
I got one thing to add. This I never did this to a guest, but do you have any questions for us? You have any questions?
Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I mean, what have you guys thought about the Luca first couple games, and what do you think about this team and their potential? Because they've won 12 of 15. I feel like they're looking pretty good, and I know last night was disappointing. To me, it was kind of the game or the school day before winter break, where you just you're ready for winter break. You want to get out of there. I think everyone JJ is filing insurance claims and trying to find a place to live. Luca doesn't have a place to live yet. He's still going through everything with the trade. He's trying to get healthy. And LeBron's going to All-Star. Dalton's going to All-Star. Dalton's still kind of processing things. So it's there's a lot of stuff with this team where I think everyone was just kind of looking forward to the break. You also had the guys who were injured. So what have you guys thought about the last couple of games with Luca and just in general, kind of the past month with this group as they've won 12 of 15?
Me personally, when I first seen his debut, I was excited, and I can't wait to see what he does this season. I see Lakers going to the championship, honestly.
There we go.
Me personally, I actually love the way the ball's been moving around. With AD's not on the floor, because we're moving at a faster pace where it's to the point where you damn near got to guard everybody on the floor, not just LeBron and AD. With this squad, you got to watch out for everybody getting open shots. So I love it. It's for me, it's fun watching the Lakers again, because I'm on record saying at first it was a chore. I had to sit here and watch this team just, I don't know what the heck we was doing, but it's fun basketball again, and I love it. And Luca, as far as the Luca situation, I know he's eventually going to get his legs under him. So I have a feeling at least early to mid-March, he'll be back to Dallas Mavericks, Luca.
Yeah, I like the way Lakers have been playing since Luca got here. The defense has stepped up big time this year. JJ Redick is the players are buying into the JJ Redick system. Defense, shots, everybody playing great. I feel like we put the trade all in to go all in this year to win the championship. And I feel like once the All-Star break comes back, after the All-Star break, you're gonna see Luca play a little bit more and be more. I mean, Luca Doncic. I can't wait to see the Dallas Mavericks. Luca Doncic on this Laker team with talking mess to players, like being aggressive, like he did against Minnesota.
Yeah, no, I think Luca to me is like he's just been trying to fit in, which is like that's normal behavior when you get to a new situation. Like he's not the guy that's going to come in and like demand the ball or take all the shots or like whatever. So I think he's been trying to like set up his teammates, find his balance of when do I shoot, when do I pass. And I think once he plays a little bit more with this group, you're going to start to see the Luca where it's like, I can do whatever I want out there. Once he has that mentality, I think that's what's going to take this group to a different level.
I can't wait for that. We're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, we are too. But here's the thing. What I don't understand is people are talking about Luka's weight, right? But Nikola Jokic, Shaq back in the day, they're still dominating the league. So I don't understand that narrative about Luka being overweight. But he's still dominating. He's still taking over. So I still don't understand that why they're saying that.
My theory or opinion on it is like, I think Dallas knew they were about to get a bunch of backlash for trading Luka, and they started leaking and trying to get out ahead of it of like, well, he's out of shape, his weight, he's 270, he's he's not a good leader, he doesn't work hard, like all this stuff. And they were trying to justify it when still, I mean, think about how how much of a disaster this trade has been from a Dallas perspective. You have the reporter who breaks the news. He says in an interview that he thought he was hacked when he got the information. Then when he posts it, he has to then like, I can't remember the last time someone had to clarify a tweet about a trade saying like, no, this is a real trade. Like typically if Shams tweets something, we take it as gospel because of his track record and because of how many things he's broken. But this was the one exception where everyone was like, there's no way this trade is real. So he has to come out and like clarify that. Then you have Dallas leaking all this stuff about Luka. Then now outside the arena, they're protesting, there's signs. They had a casket there. They had to increase security for ownership and for the front office. It's like, this has been an all around. And now AD's out for at least a month. So like this has been an all-around disaster for Dallas. And I think a big thing from their side has been trying to take shots at Luka and throw dirt on his name. And that's really the only way they can try and like justify this trade. So I feel like if it just came out like they liked how we think AD is a better fit, or we didn't want to pay him the giant supermax, and like that's the reason why we traded Luka. I don't think we'd be even talking about his weight and conditioning necessarily, but like they set that narrative of, oh, he's out of he's out of shape, he doesn't work hard, like this and that. So like that's become a talking point because they made it a talking point because they were trying to justify it. But to me, I'm like, okay, so this dude's out of shape. This dude's he led them to the finals last year. He's the only player in the league under 30 to make 5 All-NBA first teams. Steph has not made 5 All-NBA first teams. Nikola Jokic has not made 5 All-NBA first teams. Kawhi Leonard has not made 5 All-NBA first teams. Like he is in a rare air where like this guy's start to his career is like, it's like top 10 player level. Like I'm not saying he's going to necessarily be a top 10 player, but like he's had that type of start to his career. And so if he's doing that out of weight or out of shape and overweight, I would hate to see what it looks like when he gets into shape and learns from LeBron James and like takes it to a different level. So I think it's a lot of noise and Dallas just trying to kind of muddy the water to like make him look worse. But if anything, I think it's going to backfire and we're going to see longer term like a more motivated and better shape version of Luka. And again, if he's in better shape, like just think about what he will look like, kind of taking this all to a different level.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm excited, especially what I saw from Luka against Minnesota, talking mess to the fans, and I can't wait to see Luka do that on February 25th versus Dallas. Luka circled that game.
Oh yeah.
So, do you got time to talk backstage for about a couple of minutes? I want to bring something up to you
Yeah.
personally. Okay. I know she about to end the show right now.
Oh no, I was gonna see if anybody in the chat if anybody in the has any questions for him, and he can answer. He can answer a few questions if he's able to. Go ahead, Angry.
I personally want to. I mean, this has nothing to do with you. It just made me mad just now. We timed him out. It was some dude out there just speaking his mind just way too graphically. We apologize for that. We don't allow none of that on this channel. Yeah,
It's all
Don't pay
good.
attention to the comments. It comes with the territory. When you
yeah.
anything you do great, it comes with the territory. You know
No,
what
it's,
I mean?
it's all good. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
hmm
That's, you know.
I see there's
But,
one from Lakers Over Everything about favorite city. So I really like Toronto. Toronto, like to me, Toronto is like a cleaner New York. So I've really enjoyed Toronto when I've gone. Of course, like New Orleans, Miami. I think those are two great road cities. I would say that the one that may like the one that I've actually enjoyed that you wouldn't necessarily suspect is like Milwaukee. I've actually had some good times in Milwaukee, despite like it not having the best reputation as like a road city. So I think you could find something in like every city. The one exception is maybe like Oklahoma City. I've yet to have any fun in Oklahoma City. But outside of that one, I think you could have fun in any city.
So what's so the only thing that's fun in Oklahoma City is going to the football games out there?
I guess. I mean, they have good barbecue. They have good food, but it's also kind of tough because like a lot of these places we're only there for like 24 to 48 hours, and then like one of the nights is the game, so we're not. It's like typically I get in late. I probably don't want to go out or do much because I want to like rest for the game, and then it's game day, and then after the game it's like talk to the players, transcribe, write, come back to my hotel, go live for an hour and a half. So like I don't really have the time to explore the cities necessarily as much as I'd like to. So it's typically like maybe walk around during the day, grab lunch somewhere, and that's kind of like my experience with a lot of the cities. So to be honest, like a lot of them I don't even get to see for like the full experience other than like New York. I was just there for 5 days. I skipped the DC game, and my brother's out in New York, so I spent some time with him. But we do get like a very like condensed version of what a city truly is, and it's typically just in downtown also. So every city's downtown is like a little different. Some are better, some are worse. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Like we got another question from what do I say?
Star Vision. That's my mom. Big shout out to my mom, Star.
Oh yeah, shout out
Shout out
to
moms.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
yeah, Laker girl's mom. She said, "What is the
Yeah.
biggest concern regarding the team's chemistry after the Luca trade?"
I think there's just like an adjustment period after a trade where, you know, like it just changes the dynamic of a locker room. And I will say, like, AD was obviously one of the leaders of the locker room, you know, the second biggest voice behind LeBron, and was a guy that the group really like loved and rallied around. And Max was another guy that I think fit in really well with the locker room. Like he's just like a nice, positive kid. I mean, dude, he's still only 21. Like he's still super green. But I think the locker room kind of rallied around him too with like remember, like early in the season, he kind of starts off as like a prominent bench piece, then he struggles, then he falls out of the rotation, then he gets another shot, and then he makes the most of it and eventually plays his way back into the starting lineup. And then I think by the time the Lakers traded him, like Max was arguably their fourth best player, like fourth or fifth. So I think they had a fondness for Max as well. So I think like losing those two pieces in particular, and then with the Dalton situation, that's obviously awkward. Of like a guy gets traded, that it gets rescinded, he comes back, and like he said, like the group has been trying to kind of make him feel better. So I think anytime you make trades, especially when it's like guys that are really beloved in the locker room, there's always an adjustment period. But at the same time, we know LeBron has been a fan of Luca for a while. Luca and JJ have a good relationship. Luca is coming with a couple of guys from Dallas, and then he also knows DFS. So like, I think it's going to be a relatively seamless process. But anytime you make a trade that of that magnitude, like midway through the season, there's going to be some level of disruption within the locker room. But my read on it is I think this is a group that's like close. I think they all get along. I don't think that's like a long-term concern.
Angry, your mic muted.
Okay, my bad. I got you. For Mike Alexander, he said, "How do you feel personally in regards to Denver and those comments they made towards the Lakers when they won the title?"
That was it felt very personal, right? It felt like, especially, I mean, there was kind of some beef with Bruce Brown and D'Lo at the time, and even like Mike Malone and or Michael Malone. Sorry, he's gonna get on me about that if he hears that. Michael Malone and LeBron. I mean, I do believe, like, to an extent, that when you win, you could puff your chest out and talk your shit. I don't know if I could cuss or not, but I apologize if I'm not supposed to. You could do that. You could do that when you win a championship. And look, they swept the Lakers. So like,
Yeah,
all those games were close, but they swept them. Like, you could do that, but it felt like they took it a little too far, and it became a little bit more like just unprompted shots at the Lakers, and like Eddie Nuggets person was doing outside of Jokic. It was like they'd find a way to bring up the Lakers or LeBron or like take a shot at them. So it did feel like they were kind of living rent free in Denver's head a little bit, of just like, why do you keep talking about the Lakers and just that series? But yeah, I mean, and then the next year they went out and beat them in 5. So I think for the Lakers, like, what I would like to see is like them take it more personal and like kind of meet that with force and meet that with, like, they're going to play Denver 3 more times over the next month. And I would like to see them approach that with like AD's gone, but we got Luca now, and like we want to beat this team, and that's like forget everything else. It's like this is personal for us. Like we want, like, we got a new group, we got DFS now, we got Luca. We're coming for blood against this team. So I would like to see them take it a little bit more personal, to be honest.
yeah, me too. Because that series, man, they were acting like, talking mess. If Kobe Bryant was on this Laker team and he was hearing all that, he would take all that energy, go off on them the next season. I feel like Lakers should do that. Circle the game. Okay, they've been talking the last 2 years still. Let's run it. Let's play basketball. See what you're made of. I just feel like Luca here is going to bring out that fire along with Dorian Finney-Smith as well. So I'm excited for that game against Denver, man. I'm looking forward to it.
It's also kind of interesting too, because typically when you have these like beefs between teams, the best players are right in the center of it, but like Jokic doesn't talk Eddie trash, so it's kind of weird where it's like it's everyone around Jokic. It was I mean, even KCP had some comments, but like Bruce Brown and Michael Malone and like other Nuggets players, but Jokic is like stays out of it. That kind of makes like it adds a weird dynamic to it, because like back in the day, if it was like I think about like the Heat and the Celtics, and it was like KG was right in the middle of that, Paul Pierce was right in the middle of that, and then like LeBron and Wade and them were going back at them. So like it felt like more the stars kind of driving it, where this one was almost like it's been more of like the periphery characters in the situation have kind of been driving the beef. So that's maybe taken away some of the steam with it. But I still think if I'm the Lakers, it's like every time I see the Nuggets, like, I want to beat this team. I'm treating this like a game 7, and like this is personal. With like they beat you 2 years in a row in the playoffs. They've had your number for a couple years. Like I think this is a bit like that's the game that they have to always circle on the calendar of like, we're showing up for this one and we're beating them.
Okay, I got a question. I want to stay on topic with the Nuggets, but because me personally, I get tired of it. But how do you feel about Laker fans, coming at you like they're afraid of Jokic? Like we always just gotta be afraid of Jokic. Like he's just the end game. I understand they beat us so many times, but there's a lot of Laker fans that scared of Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think you should respect him, and I think there should be like an appropriate level of respect and just like kind of knowing that this is not a matchup that they could take lightly, and that like you're gonna have to bring your best to beat him. I get it to an extent just because he has been such a thorn in their side for the past couple of years, and like I think that's been like kind of an like Laker fans aren't used to having to kind of losing the way they've lost the last couple of years to Denver. Like I know kind of maybe further like going back in like late 90s that they got swept by like the Spurs or the Jazz or whatever, but like for the most part that's not like Boston beat them right in 2008 and then they got their lick back in 2010, and that's kind of been like the Lakers MO. So I think that there's an element of like wanting to do that against Denver, but I think the one thing that I'm most interested in is like how do they handle him now, because obviously even with AD, for as great as AD was and as great as he is defensively, he cannot stop Jokic. Jokic would still get his, and Denver would still win. I mean, they've won what, like however many of the last games it's been. So now that it's Jackson Hayes, or now that it's small ball, or maybe it's Alex Len, like what does that look like now? I hope it's not Alex Len, but maybe it's Alex Len, or Trey Jamison just comes in and like I love that he came in the other game and like picked up a flagrant 12 seconds into entering. Like I want to see what the strategy is now, because the past approach was not working. I think you could argue like they're less equipped to guard him, but maybe if you shut down everybody else and you just say, hey, Jokic, get your 40, get your 10 and 10, and like leave it at that, we can beat you. Like we have enough firepower now. Because I think the flip side is like, I don't know how they're going to match up with Luca and LeBron, right? Like I think Aaron Gordon does a pretty good job against LeBron, but LeBron's still going to get he's going to get his 28, 30, 32, whatever. But like now who's guarding Luca? Is it Christian Brown? I don't think Christian Brown's going to fare well against Luca in a 7-game series. So like, I think the Lakers now have their own matchup kind of thing where like AD would still do good against Jokic, but I just think Luca's a better player. And like having those two together, I think that there's a shot that that's just like enough firepower to offset whatever Denver has. It might just come down to, honestly, like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. never miss shots against the Lakers. If those two guys just shoot their normal percentages, I think the Lakers should be able to beat them or at least push them. They make every shot, that obviously we've seen kind of how that goes.
Not surprised one bit.
All right, Laker girl.
I'm here. We'll take these last two questions. We have one from Lewis. Who's your favorite player on the Lakers in the past and now?
I would say in the past, my all-time favorite player is Shaq. So I grew up. I was when I got into basketball, I was 8. It was during the second championship of the Kobe Shaq three-peat, and growing up, I was always like the biggest kid, so I kind of related to Shaq, and I was like, that's what I want to be. And obviously, I did not grow up to be 7 feet, 300 and plus pounds, but Shaq, just like the pure dominance. Like, I feel like for some people that stuff was like boring. Of okay, he's gonna get it, he's gonna dunk on someone, or he's gonna like draw a foul or something. And I was just like, there's literally nothing anybody can do to stop this guy. And like teams are loading up with like all these centers who are basically only in the league to like try and foul Shaq or guard him. And I was just like, I just love the pure dominance of Shaq and like just embarrassing people. And still to this day, like I feel like I haven't seen another big man like that. And I haven't seen like Shaq would just turn and dunk on you. And like no one could do that anymore. No one has that type of power of I'm just lowering my shoulder, turning and just dunking on your face. Like that player like just doesn't exist. So Shaq is all time. I would say with this current group, like it's got to be LeBron. LeBron, before I started really covering the NBA, was my favorite player at that time, and then started covering it. So it gets a little weird to be like, everyone can do it their own way, but like for me, I'm like, I don't really want to be a fan of these guys if I'm going to be like talking to them, asking them questions. Like, I think it changes that dynamic a bit. So I was like, I kind of killed that fandom, but overall, like I love watching LeBron play, and I think at 40, what he's doing is just it's insane. Like we've never seen anyone like Kareem's probably the closest, but I would even say LeBron's at a higher level than Kareem was at this stage of his career. But when Kareem was doing it, so late in his career. So I would say LeBron. I mean, love Austin. Luca, it's been 2 games, but like I have a feeling I'm going to really like how Luca plays. I think DFS is a dog, and like I think that's a championship type role player. So I really liked the DFS edition. Vando, I think we've seen the impact he's made, and he's just all over the place. So like there's several guys that I really enjoy watching with this group. But I would say, of course, like LeBron is LeBron, and I'm going to give him his flowers.
I would have to agree. I enjoy watching LeBron play. We'll take this final question. It's from DJ Lakers and 5. Which center option should the Lakers target over the summer?
Not Mark Williams, apparently. I think that ship has sailed. But I like. I mean, I would kick the can again with Walker Kessler. I don't think they have enough draft cap. Like Utah's price for him is just kind of insane. So maybe that's not realistic. I like Jalen Duren in Detroit. I like Nick Claxton in Brooklyn. He also has a descending contract, so that's kind of an interesting thing that I like. Of like, it's a rare contract that actually goes down, where most contracts go up in terms of annual value. So 2 years from now, he's going to be making 20 million, whereas now he's making 27. So like that's kind of something that gives you longer term flexibility. Otherwise, it's like the free agent options aren't great. And like Brook Lopez is a guy that's going to be out there, former Laker. I think in theory he would fit, but he's also going to be like 37, so that's a little concerning with his age. Otherwise, it's kind of slim options. Like just trying to think of like who is potentially going to be available because of course there's go get Jokic, right? But like he's not going to be available, and the Lakers don't have the assets to go get him. So like looking at, I mean, could they get Daniel Gafford from Dallas? I don't know if Dallas would do a trade with them again, but like that like I would have loved to have gotten Gafford in the Luca trade and even thrown something else in to get Gafford back. And I know he just got injured, but like having Gafford as the starting center and Jackson backing him up, I think that would be a really good combination. So I would say some type of like young big who's on a reasonable contract and who fits with like the way that Luca wants to play. Because Luca likes a particular big man. And that's where like even a Brook Lopez for I think it could work. He's not a lob threat the way that like Luca likes. So Luca likes those athletic pogo stick big men who can screen, run to the rim, and jump up for lobs. I mean, Jackson checks that box offensively. I think defensively he's been better, but still not like an elite defender, an elite rebounder. And I think that's where they need to find that type of big. But I would say Claxton and Duren are probably my top 2 of guys I think realistically could be available based on what the Lakers have. But outside of that, I probably think about it a little bit more, but off the top of my head, those are the 2.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good answer. Great question, DJ.
Yep, great question.
DJ, that was a great question.
Thank you for coming on to the
So
show, Jovan.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. So this will include tonight's interview, everybody. I appreciate you guys for coming. Please leave comments below and look forward to the next interview. Will be Sunday, featuring Michael Thompson. And you guys can follow Jovan. You could tell them where they can follow you if you would like to.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on all social platforms at Jovan Buha, JOVANBUHA, and then on YouTube search my name, and I got my channel and my podcast Buha's Block. So be sure to check that out as well.
Yes.
If y'all not following Jovan Buha, I don't know what
Yeah.
y'all doing, man.
Yes,
Come on, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Look,
but
I don't know if you remember, but
Appreciate
I
y'all in
sent
the
you
chat too.
yeah,
Shout out to
I don't know
everybody
if
in
you
the
remember
chat.
one of your last shows, Jovan. I sent you a super chat. You answered my question.
You did.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Johan,
you guys.
appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the inspiration you do, bro. I really appreciate it.
I know, Big Baby, I got to do your show coming up soon too.
Yeah. We done it during, I think, last year. No, but I'm welcome to have you on again.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to it.
yes, Jovan, as I always tell people, they're welcome to come back to my show anytime. I've had Michael Thompson on. I've had Steve Mace on, John Ireland.
So I saw the John Ireland one. Yeah. That
Yes,
was awesome.
Yes. But again, thank you for coming through. And yes, I always enjoy your show after the Lakers post game. I'll watch your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Salute.
And again, thank you for everybody for tuning in. Please leave comments below. And if you guys can, please follow my co-host, Angry Lakers Fan Media, my brother, Big Baby Jonathan Sports. And you guys, please, let's get those likes up. Thank you, everybody. As I always say, I'm a ride or die Lakers fan for life.